Hey, what's up, guys? Doogie here, back again with another episode of my Seattle Mariners Franchise Mode series right here on MLB The Show 19. You know the deal by now. At the beginning of this series, I asked you guys how we wanted to go about building this team and getting, of course, to our goal of winning the World Series. And, of course, at the time, we said, hey, all or nothing approach, do whatever you have to do, build the team that you have to build that is going to get the Seattle Mariners a championship. And unfortunately, we've reached the point now, we're in our 6th season, where the team that we built should be winning. And I mean, we've made the postseason the past 2 years, and this was the year where the team had to prove themselves, or they had to take that step forward and prove that they are the team we needed them to be. And unfortunately, at 28-35 as of June 4th, a day before the All-Star break, we are not that. And this may just be the episode, unless something drastic happens heading towards the All-Star break. This may just be the episode where we blow some things up and look to reset and retool. And it would be a shame because, I mean, the pitching staff is on point. Obviously, right now, the injured list as well, a little bit of a factor. Nakayama, of course, is down in the minors, but Cairo, of course, was there in his beautiful mutton chops. We could look at the team stats, but we're going to be doing so again fairly shortly. At the very least, we get to start off this episode with somewhat of a high note, I would hope, as we end up losing to Houston. And losing to Houston again, so much for that high note, but we do get to go through the 2024 draft. And maybe, just maybe, we can get things going, start things off on high notes, because the rest of this episode could be fairly depressing. So let's see who we have here. First up is Tim Kahn, the first baseman. Okay, well, he's probably the pick. 18 years old. It's going to take him 4+ years to be ready. But yeah, that's a pretty good option. Tim Clark, the 20-year-old catcher. Holy Jesus. All right, he's 3 years away at 20, so we can't go wrong with either of those two. Vernon Serrano is not bad, but with the amount of starting pitching talent that's out there, I'd go for one of the first two, and we're not going to take a closer early on. So while someone like Valentin, although he's not, might be half decent, it comes down to Kahn or Clark. And of course at catcher, we do have Hansen, although whether or not he ever develops, we don't know, and Amaya's there. The first base option might not be a bad one, because we're probably going to have to rely on Nick Pratto and Marcus Self, and then Tim Kahn is probably the guy to come up behind them and really be the guy for us. So, unfortunately, I don't think both players will be possible. We do have a pick in the competitive balance round, but it's so late on that it's one or the other. And if we look here, again, with Kahn, the good thing is, average injury risk. He's going to be a fine fielder. It's just the power game leaves a little bit to be desired, but everything else is looking great. And then Tim Clark isn't going to be the most amazing bat in the lineup. The blocking's also a little bit. I'm going to go with Tim Kahn. He's 18. It'll take him a little bit of time, but we're going to go with Tim Kahn. And by some miracle, he's not. Tim Clark ends up going to Arizona. So we'll see if we made the right choice on that front. Now, we do have the other two 80s that are available. I should double-check the other 75s, although, just because teams are picking 75s, that might just mean, they don't have the accurate scouting reports on these two, and we might know something they don't. So I'll probably still look at the 80s. And James Rowe isn't bad, but he isn't great, especially the walks. You'd think the walks would be a little bit higher since he actually has decent control. I think we're going to go for Serrano here. And then hopefully Rowe will still be available later on. So Vernon Serrano, again, 19 years old, 4 or more years away. But we'll go for him. And Rowe ends up going to the White Sox. So it's interesting whether or not... Oh, man, Martin. I think we have to go for Martin just for the name. It's going to be interesting to see if we made the right choices here. Let's see, Dominic Villa. Not bad, but not 100% accurate. 20 years old, 4+ years away. We also have Martin. Who's extremely well-rounded, but not great. But his name's Martin, so how could you not? Daniel Valentin, leaves a little bit to be desired. Fernandez, again, isn't bad, but we already have someone half decent. Omar Escobar, if you can actually be that good, I am going to take the risk. If Omar Escobar is actually that good, That is a steal at that point in the draft. Martin Martin is still available, as is Bobby Bush. I think it's got to be Martin Martin. Just for the name. Screw it, we're taking him. Just for the name. Martin Martin's the pick. We have another competitive balance pick. So let's see. Drew Gomez, the age and the ETA kind of sucks. And those stats aren't great. James Salem. If you can be that good, we might have something there. Do we have any other 70s who are looking half decent? Casto's kind of meh. Harry Jones. I know you're 23 and 2 years away, but damn. And then Howie Dionis. I've never known. I know a couple of players, sports athletes with that name or something similar to it. No idea how to pronounce it. I'll be honest with you. It's going to come down, I think, to Salem or that reliever, if I'm not mistaken. Again, Gomez isn't bad. Salem, arguably a little bit better. Or we go for, Bush is pretty bad. Or, no, was it Casto? It was Harry Jones. Let's take the risk with Harry Jones. That's the one pick so far where I'm like, yeah, I think I might regret that. But, of course, we will still have other people available, and we do. So, we look at, not Muller, because that's not going to be accurate. Gomez, again, with those 350s, that really hurts. Howie's terrible. Casto, the walks leave a bit to be desired. Salem is the best way to go here. So James Salem, the starter, is who we'll take next. We finally get to the 4th round. There's been a lot of competitive balance rounds, so we won't have too many picks left here. We have no information on anybody else, so we'll start taking somebody from the younger side of the spectrum here. So it's either going to be Wade On or Grant Main. Good old Grant Main or Wade On from Taiwan. I think, technically, let's go for the catcher. Let's go for Wade On with this one. A little bit more help there would be nice. Do we get one more pick, or is that it? No, we get one more. Okay. And, oh, man, the guy I wanted's gone. George Caron or Jarrett Peters. Pennsylvanian or the Californian who has a lot of pitches. Let's just go for Caron. For that reason, we'll hope for the best. No real way of knowing if anybody's good from that point on. My God, we get another pick. Excuse me. Can't clear my throat, and we have no choice but to take Kevin Haskins. So we will. My God, the final pick of the draft. I cannot clear my damn throat. So let's see what we're dealing with here. In terms of how we did. That sucks. Tim Kahn was barely a B. Oh my God. Now Escobar looks like a steal, but that is not the draft that we needed. So the guy that I was looking at ended up going to Arizona. The other option. It wasn't Nance, it was Clark. 20 years old, 85, 63. So yeah, we made a mistake. It wasn't a drastic mistake, but it was a mistake. Clark's better. He has a slightly higher potential. They're both B overall. But yeah, that kind of hurts a little bit. Serrano's a pretty good pick, though. 1959 and an 87, which isn't too bad. Could certainly be better. Escobar's a steal and a half. I mean, you're looking at frickin' Mariano Rivera reborn, so that's tremendous. Martin, oh God, C potential, 47 at 19 years old. We'll sign him for now because it's Martin. Harry Jones, at the very least, is a 68 overall at 23, but a C potential. He's not going to get that much better, but we'll still bring him in for now. James Salem, not bad, but again, only a C potential. And Wade On for best guess isn't that bad at a C potential. George Karam is obviously terrible, and Haskins was terrible as well. The other guy we were looking at was on the Chicago White Sox. That was James Rowe. Oof, it's a good thing we got that reliever that we were looking at because James Rowe is a beast. If there was any other player that you were interested in seeing how good they were, let me know down in the comments below. I'll find them and try to get back to you in the comments if I remember. So, we can now move on to the team as it stands, where, again, the pitching staff, for the most part, has been okay. It's just the players in the lineup that we're worried about and whether or not they can turn it around. Guys like Jimenez, guys like Riley, guys, I mean, just the same guys that we have been worried about for a few seasons now, we are still worried about. Chicago, I don't want a trade offer, thank you. As Miguel Sano gets dealt to Philadelphia. We ended up winning that 3-game series over the Angels. 3 games against the Twins. We lose that series. 3 games against Oakland. AAA will just auto-fix the roster. We lose that series against Oakland as well. 3 games against a also under 500 Kansas City team. We win the first game and end up winning that series. And 4 games against Baltimore as Joey Lucchesi gets roughed up a little bit. And ultimately, we lose 3 out of 4 to the O's. 35-47 in the last week of June. Just simply unacceptable. It really is. We lose a series to Milwaukee. We have 3 games against Houston as we head into July. And we lose that series 2-3. 3 games against St. Louis. And we lose that series as well as Tim Anderson gets dealt to Arizona for Chris Davinsky and Kyle Schwarber. We did end up losing that series. And 3 games against Oakland before the All-Star break. The Futures game... do I want to see who's in... Yeah, screw it. Let's see who's in the Futures game. Why not? As Maikel Franco gets dealt to the Brewers. So teams are making moves. Who made it to the Futures game for us is my question. Fukumori made it. Ryan Pratt's ours too, isn't he? He's not. We had a couple... Yeah, Bruno Guevara is ours. If I'm not mistaken. He is. He's with the Rainiers. So not bad. Wander Samuel Franco made it. Alright, well, we got a couple of options there in the Futures game, which is nice. The real-life Futures game ended in a tie. How exciting. Home Run Derby, we don't have any participants, but we might as well see who is there. Gallo. Of course it was Gallo. O'Hearn and others. And we ended up getting beaten by Oakland, too. So 39-55, we are done. We'll see who made the All-Star game for us. And then we're blowing this up. We have no other choice. As sad as that is, we have no other choice. So, did we have anybody? Jose Barrios made the All-Star game, which is not surprising. Only a 7-4 record, unfortunately, due to how bad the team is around him. In terms of relievers, did we have anybody? We did not. No, we did. We had Pedro. Never mind. Who has 37 strikeouts in 30 innings. Not too bad, Pedro. Not too bad. Catchers, nobody there. It kind of sucks to see teams with players like this already developing for them. Ryan O'Hearn and Max Muncy, Altuve and Ramon Torres. Nobody at third for us. At short, nobody there. And the outfield, of course, Joey Gallo made it, which, again, has proven to be a horrific mistake on our part to go with JD. All right, so we had Barrios and we had Pedro make the All-Star game for us. With the lineup we have, that is devastating. I think we're going to go ahead and look to make these trades right now. It's the best way to do it. That way we can reorder the rotation, people can get their rest, and we'll take it from there. So, as far as the team is concerned, rotation-wise, Barrios, of course, is an all-star. We still have him signed to pretty good money at 29 years old. It's the question of, can we be competitive again by the time he's still good to go? Jack Flaherty is 28, still on a good contract, of course, because we, backloaded it. He's not exactly doing extremely well this season. He's not horrible, but he's not having a great season. And the argument is, do we flip him for someone a little bit better? Has basically Barrios replaced Flaherty as our ace. Chris Paddock is having a fine season. Okay, never mind. The FIP's a little bit higher than you'd want it to be for someone of his talents for the second year in a row, while the ERA has been phenomenal. Pedro Fernandez is not ready for prime time, but we called him up due to injury. So, yeah, he needs to go. And then Joey Lucchesi, the ERA is fine. Paddock, Lucchesi, and Flaherty just haven't been as good as they could be. They haven't been horrible, but they've been average at best for players of their talents. They really have been. And Sandy Gaston, of course, wasn't expected to be ready. Joey Gerber at 26 just hasn't been ready this season. As frustrating as that is, but again, he's at the age, much like with, Flaherty, Paddock, and Lucchesi, it's just, do we wait to see if they turn it around? Gerber's still young enough. Dan Winkler's 34, so, even though he's been great this season, he's been okay. even though he's been okay this season, it's worth getting rid of him. As Gerber, yeah, still has arbitration. Brandon Brennan is now 32. The ERA is not great. The FIP isn't great. I think we move on from Winkler and Brennan. Dan Altavilla, now 31 years old. The ERA is a little bit rough. The FIP is rough again. I think we move on from Winkler, Brennan, and Altavilla. Edwin Diaz, who I completely forgot that we acquired. The ERA has been tremendous. The FIP's been tremendous. The contract is still okay, so he can stay. And then, of course, Pedro was an all-star this year, which I kind of disagree with. But, yeah, I think Winkler, Brennan, and Altavilla are going to go. They're the first three we're going to look to move on from. Probably even try to package them together because I don't think they're making all that much. 16. Oof. We'll see if there's a team that can take that. Looks like the answer might be no, or maybe yes. The Giants are the only team that can take it. However, they are offering us a pretty good prospect in David Aviles, or Aviles. That's not too bad. Let's take a look at him here. 21B and a 73. No secondary positions. Not the greatest bat. I mean, he's not bad. A little bit more speed to him. I think we'll take it though. And it's a move to the NL as well, so it's not like any of those guys will come back to haunt us in the near future. So let's do it. First step here, blow up the bullpen. Although I can add a little bit more to this. So let me take out the deal for Seth Corey. Is there a reliever I can get back like Bob Tejada? Oh my God, yeah, that's a hell of a lot better. I don't care how good or bad he's been. He's a young enough option. Can I get Esslinger as well? Just no. Can I get Rivera? Also a no. Can I get back Raimo? No. I'd probably rather still get back Tejada than Raimo, although Raimo's pretty good. Can I get another reliever just to help fill out the roster? What about Santos? There we go. So we'll do that. Brennan, Winkler, and Altavilla to the Giants. I mean, in terms of do they need to help? I mean, you know, they could. They get some higher rated players. Maybe they turn it around there. Let's do it. So thank you very much for the deal, San Francisco. And we will readjust from there. I still don't know if I'm getting rid of certain starters. Lineup-wise, Malik Smith. He's 30 years old at this point. The on-base is still high. The average is a little bit lower than what it should be. The OPS is still looking all right. That's a tough one, though. He's at least doing relatively well. Ray Mitra's going nowhere. Eloy Jimenez is done. He's done. Immediately. Just done, gone, goodbye. Ubayashi's 28, and at least the slugging saves him and bumps up the OPS to over an 800. Austin Riley is finally starting to look like the guy we kind of need him to be. 17 home runs on the year. Ubayashi still has a little bit of time. Nick Prado's been in the lineup. Of course, we made that initial trade at the end of the last episode. Prado's been meh thus far. Jonathan India at 27. He just hasn't been what he should be at the plate. He really hasn't. Like, the on-base is okay, but everything else is just brutal. And it's one of those things where it's like, okay, do we give him time to turn it around? He should be better than what he is. I don't know. But Jimenez is definitely gone. Victor Robles has been okay-ish, but not great. 230 average, 294 on base. I'm not doing that. Plus, he's only got one arbitration year left, so Jimenez and Robles are gone. And then Miguel Amaya is another one where it's like, do you give him time to turn it around? But at the very least, we know that Jimenez and Victor Robles are gone. And again, Robles might be able to turn it around, but one arbitration year left. It's just, I'm not liking what I'm seeing from him at the plate. Just not digging it. So let's go ahead and get this deal done. Jimenez, you can't label him anything else other than a bust in this series, because that is what it has been from him. As you see the type of return we're looking at, which is nice. The Orioles actually the only team that are offering here. Paige Franco and Grayson Rodriguez, 3 A prospects for 2 of them, of course. That's not a bad way to go, I gotta admit. I mean, Paige Franco and Rodriguez, we'll remember that from Baltimore. We will remember that. Unfortunately, here, let me do this, and let's see if we go for all the type of returns we're getting. Sylvester, DL Hall, and Cedric Mullins, who isn't really going to help, but Warner Sylvester is interesting. We know Baltimore have options. From the NL, though, which is a bit more ideal, the Giants have James Field. Aside from that, it's a little bit rough. Whew. Not a bad bit of business from the Padres. Mackenzie Gore, Luis Urias, and Juan Juarez, who we'd probably look to move on from, but we know the Padres have some good options there. Walker Buehler, the rest of the people involved are a bit rough. Rogers, David, and Jorge Solar, that's also a bit rough, so I'm still digging that offer from the Padres. Nieto and Gonzalez, if the Diamondbacks had anybody else other than Tim Anderson, I think I would be intrigued. Bader, Jordan Hicks, and Dakota Hudson, meh. Like Brian Hayes, Kevin Newman, and Swaggerty, also kind of meh. This is the first team with 2 offers. Oh, Chris Sale, yeah, no thank you. Freeland, Dawkins, and Terang, no. Castillo, Trammell, and Helms, no. Hunter Green, Senzel, and Irvin, no. Bryce Harper, absolutely not. Michael Fulmer, Jameson Tyon, Juan Soto, and Brandon Felton from the Nationals, and then Bradley Zimmer and Sixto. So I think the pieces I'm most intrigued by, Arizona and San Diego. And if we take Juarez out of the situation here, and we see who else the Padres have, this could be an interesting one, like Fernando Tatis Jr., who, boy, is he in line for a big money deal. Not that we don't have a way around it, but he hasn't exactly been killing it like you would hope he would have been. Francisco Miella, who we used back in the Blue Jays series back in the day, but he's not exactly killing it. He's not terrible. The on-base is high. The OPS is a little bit concerning. But he's also due for a big money deal at 28 years old, so it'd be interesting. They have Ryan Weathers. It'd require a little bit more back in the deal, but another ridiculous, younger starter. Only 3 pitches as a starter, but I don't really think that's all that important when you're talking about the sim. Luis Patino has a lot of contract control. A lot. They have some ridiculous starters available, my God. Some absolutely ridiculous starters available. John Nelson is there. Jimmy Voorhees as a shortstop. The bat's not quite... If you want to see the bat's not quite there, he has a 946 OPS through 59 at-bats. So he's doing something right, isn't he? Jesus. I don't know if that's the guy to get or not, because I feel like we already have plenty of starting pitching talent, And really, we do. I mean, it's not the most elite group we've ever had in a series, but it's pretty stacked. So we can go the way of ridiculous pitching. I mean, the good thing is Mackenzie Gore has contract control moving forward too. Like, he's almost too good to pass up. Even over, and again, you look at this. For whatever reason, man, I mean, the Padres have just been my go-to team to trade with when it comes to getting pitchers. But like I said, I kind of wonder if we didn't go for him. Say we went for Miella. Tyler Wade's 29. Alexander's not quite there. And then Voorhees. I honestly wonder how much... Jeez, that's how much of the bar it takes away for Fernando Tatis. Which I'm intrigued, but again, he's not exactly killing it. I feel like we'd be in the same spot. Jimmy Voorhees does have that A potential. Absolutely dominating so far in his young career. Say we go for Voorhees, Urias, and Miella. It would take a little bit more. And then what if we add Mackenzie Gore onto that? And all we'd pretty much have to do is say, here, take Kirkpatrick. Which is probably even too much. Take McManus. Voorhees, Urias, and Gore. Are they the ones to get? Because again, I still don't know, starting pitching-wise, what I'm going to do. Because right now, we have Barrios, Flaherty, Paddock, Lucchesi. I mean, Fukumori is nearly good to go. You could argue Chad Leahy's just about good to go. Mackenzie Gore gives us another option, especially if we move on from the guys who are getting to be a little bit older. Let's do it. Jimenez is going to San Diego. I cannot believe we had to trade him. I thought he would be the main piece to our success in this series. How wrong I was. So if we take a look at the lineup at this point, Miguel Amaya, I just don't see him as being a decent hitting option at any point in his career at the plate, but he's still under such a good contract at this point. There's no reason to not keep him. Of course, we have Roman Kessler there as well. I think as far as catchers are concerned, we're fine. Right? Like, unless we trade for someone, there really isn't an ideal situation there. First base-wise, as far as we are concerned right now, we're going to let Nick Pratto gallop. Heinlein can be called up. Although, hell, you could argue just letting him go for it isn't the worst way to go at AAA. But, I mean, we're talking about a pinch-hitting specialist and a potential DH. He can also play catcher, and while he doesn't have very good fielding stats, you never know. So, I mean, first base-wise, getting someone better than Nick Pratto, is that a smart move? Probably, but we might as well give him a shot. And if Heinlein can't take over or Marcel Self can't take over, then we look from there. So, I mean, catcher and first base, I think we're okay. Unless we go out and get somebody else. You know, in a further trade, which I don't even know if we're going to make any further trades. I'm actually going to add, we have a full 40 man, I'm not going to add Hashimoto yet. We have Urias and Little, Austin Riley, Jonathan India, Mitra, Voorhees, Luis Garcia. So some people have to go. We have quite a bit of depth here, don't we? Quite a bit. And then outfield-wise, Smith, Kelenic, Ueyashi. We do have some younger guys who could step up. My only concern with Smith is that he's 30. And it's just how much do we hit, how hard do we hit the reset button? Easy for me to say. I don't know. It's always tough because you look at this rotation, it's like, hey, one more go, but I just don't know if they have it. So maybe, just maybe, as far as how we set this up, we want Gabe Little on that roster. Urias can play third and short. So say we get rid... I mean, Riley's only 26, but again, this is like the first season where he's finally showing like, hey, I'm ready. I don't think that's good enough. He's got one more year at 7.2. I'm not digging it. I'm not digging it. I just don't think it's there. He's a perennial gold glove option. Has ridiculous fielding ability. Absolutely ridiculous. But at the plate, just, you know, the OPS isn't where I'd want to see it for him. And it hasn't been. But maybe we still give him a little bit of a shot. Jonathan India I like, but it's really just, it's not there for him. I mean, again, it's not as if the power game's weak. 28 RBIs, 11 home runs. It's just not there. So, I'm thinking that's it for one Jonathan India, even though I don't want it to be. But some of these people just have to go, man. I can send Rizzo down to triple, but I don't see how else we're able to make some of these moves. Say we have Ray Mitra, Jimmy Voorhees. I can send down Garcia, which is nice. But I think I'm going to do here is get this roster set. And then from there, it's, okay, let's see what happens from there, essentially. As we keep Chad Leahy down in triple, we're going to call up Ashcraft to be the long reliever. So that's going to be our 6 right there. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pablo down to triple and Cole Winn. Sandy Gaston will be going all the way down to double, which is 4 with Cairo technically. So 4, 5 with Fryman, and 6 with Moran. Actually, Fryman's going to go down to single, so Santana's the 6th. Kirkpatrick, unfortunately, will be down in single, although Pedro Brito, I suppose, can go down. That way he's in double. And what I think we're going to do is sim another, pretty much to the end of the month at the deadline, see where we are, and take it from there. About, some of these other guys where we just don't quite know what we want to do with them yet. So we do have a full 40-man. So some people got to be dropped from said 40-man, which is tough, if not downright impossible. So like Ruiz, for example, definitely got to drop him from the 40-man. Vientos is certainly on the fringe. Joe Rizzo, definitely got to drop him from the 40-man. He's an easy one. So Guevara, let's go ahead and bump him up to the major. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with Gerber, and let's go 6 with Muller. Yeah, let's go 6 with Muller. And I think from there we're pretty much good. AAA is 1, 2. Let's go 3 with those guys. 4, 5, and 6 with Perkinson. And then AA is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 6 with McLeod. It's perfect. And then John Jones. Good old John Jones. UFC light heavyweight champion. It's good to go. So the only real issue here is just who plays. I think we just leave the roster as is, make sure it's set up as we want it, and take it from there. So Mackenzie Gore will obviously be in the rotation. Ashcraft will be the long reliever. We'll go with Edwin as the closer, Pedro there, and let the AAA rotation sort itself out. And then lineup-wise, we'll see. But we have 3 weeks until the deadline. Let's see what the hell happens, although apparently people cleared waivers, so the AAA... Okay, it's going to say that it's an issue, but it's really not. So, let's just do it that way. Hopefully we didn't lose anybody. We lost Joe Rizzo on waivers, which is fine, to San Diego. And Ubayashi with an ACL sprain. He's going to be out for a week or two. We ended up beating the Angels in that series. Split 2 games against Oakland. It's not so much about wins here. It's just getting one more look at certain individual stats before we just blow the ship to pieces, essentially. So with Cairo back, I need to send him down. I think I was going to send him down to double, but really I should put him on triple. There we go. So now they're at 25 apiece. All right, we're a week out. We ended up winning that series against Texas, winning 3 out of 4 against Detroit. And we take that first game against Texas. So 49-61. Obviously, this season is a wash. We're 13 games out of the wild card. It's done. But have some of these guys saved their jobs. So Jose Barrios is still amazing. We still have him on that backloaded contract. So it's worth keeping him for now until it's not. We can get a great return for him, but we might be good in time for him to be worth keeping. Jack Flaherty, of course, on a similar contract. Has never had an elite ERA with us. 3.28 is the lowest that he's had. The FIP ratings, though, of course, fielding independent pitching. He's certainly not an ace. He's just not. And he's always going to be unhappy with not being the ace. So with him being unhappy about not being the ace, although granted, it's not taking a negative toll right now, but he's not happy about his performance. Of course, we acquired him thinking he was going to be the guy for us, and he just hasn't been the guy. Again, you look at the ERAs. Like, they're not bad, but they're not. Like, this is the only one. The only season where it's like, yeah, that's ace-worthy. And that one kind of, and then everything else is just meh. I hate to say it, man, but I think Jack Flaherty's gone. Chris Paddock is due for a big contract. You look at the 3.5 seasons that he's been here. And, again, you look at the ERA. Solid across the board. The FIP rating has been... It's been dropping, which is nice. Last year it was horrible for what he's capable of. He's gotten it down, though, over his last couple of starts. The issue is, though, big contract heading his way, which we can afford it, but do we want to hand a big contract to someone like that where it's like, oh yeah, shit, your ERA for the most part has been great, but we've had some concerns over the past 2 years. I honestly don't think I want to pay him. I know he's 28. He might still be able to turn it around. Another guy who wants to be the ace, close to home. The team performance isn't helping. I hate to say it because I really wanted Chris Paddock to be the guy, but I don't think he's the guy. I think he and Flaherty are probably gone. And then Joey Lucchesi's 30. He just signed that big deal. Look at what he's done since he's been here. The ERA over the past 2 seasons. Last year was concerning. This year's been pretty good. But while the ERA has been good, the certain numbers haven't been. I got to be honest, man. Flaherty, Paddock, and Lucchesi, I think they're all gone. And then Mackenzie Gore has enough contract control that he's not going anywhere anytime soon. I think the previous big three, that's what sucks. We got these guys as the big three, and it's just not there. Like I said, Lucchesi, you look at that 3.09 ERA, that's pretty good. But then you look at the fielding independent pitching, and it's average. ERA last year was horrible. The fielding independent pitching was at least better. Had he played like he had been playing in 2022 when we acquired him, that's fine. But he's 30. We're going to be risking regression over the next year or two. The issue of him wanting to be the ace, it's not ideal. It's just not ideal. So Flaherty, I just don't think is the guy. Paddock and Lucchesi, I don't think they're the guys for us. Gerber, again, at 26, is young enough that I think he can turn it around, and he started to turn it around a little bit. He gets one more season to prove that he's worth having in the bullpen. The rest of these guys, some of them are going to be far, far too young. But it's at least, hey, give them a chance, see what they can do. And then Diaz is getting paid good money, but he's a star who's playing like a star. So I can be, I can deal with that. I can accept that. So between these three, $26 million, it's probably better to move them individually. But if there were to be a one move for the three of them, who would it be? And would it be worth it? Jimenez! Yeah, no, you couldn't pay me to take him back. Lux, Jansen's 36, Anderson, Nieto, Manchavis, Bader, O'Neill, Devin Travis, Chris Sale, Kyle Freeland, Castillo, Senzel, and Turner. Oscar Hernandez, Osuna, and Horner, Fulmer, Sano. I don't really care if there were secondary offers there. Sixto, Beatty, and Lindor. Yeah, none of these are great, which I didn't expect them to be. Although that offer from Texas. Hold on a second. Hopefully the same offer's there. Barreto. Oh, okay, it was Barreto and Fuentes. I was like, wait a minute, what even was that? Jack Flaherty. I hate to do this, buddy. I really do. I wanted you to be the star of this team. From a pitching perspective, it just ain't happening. Anthony Gonzalez, 20A and a 76. I can't imagine we're going to be offered somebody better than Gonzalez. And the thing is, too, we're going to need pitching. Although the Blue Jays, Baz and Ziegler, another catcher wouldn't hurt. And Shane Baz is just another starter that we can throw into the mix to see how good he's ultimately going to be. I think we look to make that deal with the Blue Jays work. How good has Ziegler been at the plate? He's been playing in the minors. Has plenty of contract control. Let's do it. We're going to take that mainly because of Ziegler. Jack Flaherty, I mean, this could come back to haunt me. I know it's a trade within the AL, but if he's been as average as he's been, and, if he disappoints in the playoffs, if we ever come up against him, then so be it. Jack Flaherty has been dealt to Toronto. Chris Paddock, this one hurts a lot, but god damn it. Juarez, McManus, and Munoz. Debreu. Gonzalez and Apostle. There's the deal again for Anthony Gonzalez. Is there a better offer than Chavez? Is my question. Do you have somebody a little bit more interesting out there? Matt Manning? 25 being an 82. Ooh, he's been rough. Another reliever in Guillen, which I'm not against taking back. And my God, they have another closer who's actually pretty good. Do I have anybody to throw into the mix here? 3 closers in this deal. Kirkpatrick's a bit too much value. How's Fryman? Can't even it up. Can Brito even it up? Perfect. Chris Paddock being dealt with 2 others for 3 men who could lead the bullpen into the future. Sorry to see you go, Paddock. And then Joey Lucchesi is the last domino to fall from the starters because just damn it. That is my response. Sedenquist is there. Vladimir Batista. Herb Jeffers. Good old Herb Jeffers. Secondary offers never that good. Again, I pretty much always go off of the first offer. They're normally the best ones. Garcia and Malcolm Tata. Again, I prefer to deal with the NL with these guys, even though they're struggling. You know, the deal for Vladimir Batista. I think that's too good to pass up. We'll make another deal with the Diamondbacks. That is it for the changes to the pitching staff for now. Jose Barrios is the sole survivor, which is not what I envisioned happening just a few short seasons ago. Mallex Smith is going to be dealt. He's 30 years old. Just not digging it. Just not digging it with him at 30. At least I think he's going to be dealt. Let's take one more look here. So again, at catcher, with Ziegler and Amaya, I'm feeling pretty good. Kessler will probably be sent down. He might even get claimed on waivers. First base, for now, we're still good, unless we bring in another prospect. We have to sort out the Urias Little situation. And there is a little bit to sort out there. Austin Riley, 823. I still don't think Riley's the guy. I don't know, man. 823 OPS isn't bad, but he's a legitimate 92. I know that rating's boosted a bit by the fielding. And I know he can still get a little bit better, but I'm just not feeling it. Obviously, if I didn't want to keep him, I would have gotten rid of him by now. You know? Same thing with Jonathan India. If I didn't want these guys, I would have dealt them already. But they can both be capable of so much more. And I mean, if we take a look here, let's look at the league leaders in OPS, for example. Right? I want to see some low... Like, Steven Piscotty's an 85. And you can't tell me his batting stats are that much better than what we're seeing with Riley. And he has a 958. Jordan Alvarez, of course, has the power game. You can say his hitting, his batting stats are a little bit better. Kevin Dunlap, is he that much better? He's well-rounded. Aaron Hicks is a 78 at this point, man, and he has a higher OPS. It's insanity. Scooter Gennett has a higher OPS. Like, I mean, come on, man. Come on. He can be doing better. He certainly can be. Again, I'm not saying an 823 is bad, but at no point over the past 5 seasons that he's been here has he really looked like he was going to be the star up until this point. And I know he has 1 season left, but goddamn, man. Goddamn. I just don't think he's the guy. And I think this team as it stands is just done for. It really is. And again, with Smith, the overall is already starting to trend downward a little bit. I think I'd rather just sell high. He's not bad, of course. Had a clutch walk-off home run in a prior game. But I think maybe we move on from him and Ubayashi and just turn it over to the youth. As if this wasn't a young team when we started. Mallex Smith and Seiji Ubayashi. What can we get for you two is my question. Hopefully something overly worthwhile. Joe David and Mancini, Harrison Bader. I mean, hell, depending on the right deal, Harrison Bader might be the guy. Freeland Castillo, Ian Happ, Ahmed Rosario. We already have way too much infield help. Pete Alonso, I don't really want back. And then Sixto, if we wanted another dominant starter, potentially. Lord knows there's room. He hasn't been great thus far, but he still has 2 years left of contract control. 25, he is an 87. Wants to be the ace, is going to be unhappy about the money. I'm thinking that's a no. Can we get anything if we just look for prospects back? Diaz, Lovins, and Perez. Page. That's not a bad deal, I suppose. I mean, Diaz kind of sucks for the Tigers, though. It's going to have to be a mix unless we trade these guys separately. Severino, Manea, Alex Reyes, Shane Bieber, Chisholm, and Perez. It's not a bad way to go, although Chisholm doesn't really help the situation. We already have a depth of talent in the infield. Art Barreto, Joey Gallo, which may have been the right choice. Let's see. Harrison Bader. Let me take a look. I know he's making a decent amount of money. He's making more than a decent amount of money. And not playing like someone who deserves it. Alright. This is proving to be tough. to find a good return here. But there's gotta be somebody that makes sense for this team. The issue is, I feel like we're already running out of, like, yeah, that's clearly the guy to get already. Like, it's just, we've already gone through so many players. It's like, maybe this is the guy. Nope. Maybe this is the guy. Nope. It just keeps happening. It's unreal. All right. I don't even know who the hell to go for here, man. Like, Juan Soto went left, but his contract's coming up. That's going to be an expensive deal, but holy hell is he worth it. Holy hell is he worth it. I don't even think I have enough to pull that deal off. Even Kelenic isn't enough. Okay. What would that take, actually? It's not even possible, apparently. Smith and Ubayashi. Can't believe I'm having to do this, but you'll be traded separately, because that's the only way. So Jeffers, Braylon Marquez, Mateo is terrible. Gratterall's meh. Carlton Diaz is very meh. Ramos at short, and then Bennett at first. There are, like, no good offers for anybody here. Like, are you kidding me? Like, there's gotta be somebody. Like, damn. I mean, you could argue, again, say we look for another first baseman. Just in case Prado's not the guy. There's gotta be somebody, right? Somebody half decent to fill that void that's not named Sam Travis, who's already on waivers. Alex Kirilloff, but he's 26 already. Man, maybe there isn't, at least in the NL. Pablo Mateo. The 24-year-old, okay. So, Pablo Mateo would be nice. You can make the argument why the hell would the Dodgers trade him, and I agree with that. He has no durability whatsoever, but in terms of playing him at DH, yes, please. Yes, please. All the contract control in the world. They don't need a DH. They got Freddie Freeman for the moment. That's my way to argue that it's logical. Just the question is there anybody else I can throw into the deal that makes sense to get to balance this out? I suppose worst comes to worst, I can always just take Ubayashi off of the deal. Franco, Cloud. Of course, the Dodgers don't have a good system right now. So, say we take Ubayashi out of the deal. Say we take Malik Smith out of the deal. Just gotta use Ubayashi here. They had a C-graded reliever, Ken Cloud. Ubayashi for Mateo and Cloud. Thank you very much to the Dodgers. So that is a very interesting pickup to now have Prado and Mateo there with Heinlein and Self in the system. That's looking better. The infield, again, we are still already looking at moves that have to be made. In terms of the outfield, I mean, we're going to be looking at guys like Robinson, Davis, and Rodriguez just being given the chance and saying, hey, go for it, kids. So I'm not really sure who the right guy to get here. It probably is, you know, more help reliever-wise. I mean, because we just brought in Ziegler for help at catcher. So unless there is a ridiculous can't miss catching prospect, I think we're pretty much good. Again, you look at Miea, which, I mean, budgetary concerns for the Padres at this point. Is there anybody else who is just like clearly Michael Rosado? He's hurt. But if I can do that, it's not a bad bit of business making another deal here with the Diamondbacks, but they can't trade him because he's hurt. Will Banfield from the Cardinals might not be the worst option, but they can't afford Smith. So that is where we begin to have trouble. Of course, I can take back an expiring deal. MJ Melendez on the Brewers. Pretty well-rounded budgetary concerns for them as well. The Reds, I mean, Tyler Stevenson's turned into a hell of a catcher, but the bat just isn't there. Carlos Castellano, budgetary concerns. We might just have to take the best deal that we can get. Danny Jansen, the bat just isn't there for him. The Nats, I mean, have Bo Naylor, budgetary concerns for them. Can I make that work? We have to take back Zach Eflin. And Sierra. Let's see. He's on an expiring deal. What about Zach Eflin? Not on an expiring deal is Zach Eflin. I do love me some Zach Eflin, though. From the Blue Jays series, arguably the best pitcher we had. He's actually done pretty damn well. I'm not against that. We pick up a veteran reliever. We see how he does for the year. Pick up another catching prospect who could work out for us. Let's do it. Mallex Smith is going to be dealt to the Washington Nationals. So that gives us another fairly interesting option. So catcher now, it's going to be Amaya, Ziegler, and Naylor. One of you guys has to make it. God forbid we have to wait to see if Eric Hansen makes it. But yeah, we'll see. I think it probably will be Naylor on the bench. Just because Ziegler isn't on the 40-man anymore. So Roman Kessler is going to be in a little bit of trouble. First base, we're golden. Still have to figure out the infield. But despite the fact they're not that old, I think Riley and India are probably gone, which will give us a little bit more of an idea. The outfield set, we're going to the youth. And then starting pitching-wise, I mean, Mackenzie Gore and Zach Eflin have been brought in. And someone like Fukumori, who is just the man right now, is probably already good to go. So we have one more big trade to do. And I hate to do it, but the infield with Mitra, Voorhees, Garcia, Serrano, Urias, and Little, it has to be done. And I think even Ruiz I'll try to tack on to this. But this has to be done. So Baltimore, Chance Sisco doesn't really help the issue at this point, even though Sylvester is looking like he's can't miss. Truly. And we might do this deal with Baltimore, which could really come back to bite me in the ass, but that might be the way to do it. That's an interesting one. That is an interesting one. A very, very interesting one. So, I mean, we have Sylvester in Baltimore. We have Junior in Tampa, which is ridiculous. We have Yohan Moncada in Chisholm in Detroit, which is also ridiculous. Brian Anderson's a little bit too old. They have a half-decent catcher, but obviously we're not really interested in that anymore. Welker, Fletcher, no thank you. Matt Chapman at 30. Barreto and Mateo, who isn't worth it at all. And of course, that's one thing the game needs to get better at, is knowing that Rolando Mateo isn't worth anything. Altuve at 33. Ozzie Albies. Jesus. Okay, well, we certainly have options, don't we? Damn. Bradley Zimmer and Andahar. Mallex Smith, Pete Alonso, and Carl Edwards. I think all former Mariners. That's a great sight. Suarez and Green. Keller, Kramer, and Jeffers. Baders, and Michael Bacha. Cody Bellinger. Jesus Christ. Okay, well, that's an interesting one. Mariana Myers. Okay. Cody Bellinger just signed a big new contract. It is backloaded, because of course it is. But it's Cody frickin' Bellinger. And a star that plays like a star. That is certainly an option. We go to Atlanta. They were offering us Ozzie Albies. Not a star who plays like a star. So he is out of the running. We go back to Detroit, who are offering us Yohan Moncada, who is not a star that plays like a star. We go to Tampa with Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who somewhat plays like a star, is due for his big-time deal, which is good because we can negotiate that as the 15-year deal. The problem is, I mean, obviously, I think we had Junior in the Blue Jays run, and on the Twitch run I did with the Angels a couple of weeks ago, we also had Junior. So it's like, is it too much Junior? That's the question. Which, again, at this time when we started this series, he didn't have his updated face, so he looks hilarious on this, but that's okay. And then Baltimore had that ridiculous second base prospect, Warner Sylvester, who doesn't have too much of a power game, but obviously has ridiculous contract control going forward. The fielding isn't great. The intrigue with him is that he's a generated player. Obviously, though, that causes even more problems because the infield is already Urias, Little, Serrano, Mitra, Voorhees, and Garcia. We have 6 players for 4 to 5 spots total. Somebody else already has to go or stay in the minors. Serrano will probably stay in the minors, which means I guess we go Urias, Little. I think Urias is probably going to go, and that way we have Little, Mitra, and Voorhees. But then even Garcia, Jimmy Voorhees might actually be dealt again. I think, honestly, there's room to still pick up Sylvester from Baltimore. I think there is. Which, to me, means it's either Junior or Bellinger here. And, again, I've used Junior a lot. Another outfielder would be great. Obviously, it's paying Bellinger a lot of money. And we probably only have him for like 3 years. And then you try to flip him because of the money. Whereas with Junior, of course not on the Blue Jays, on this he's on the Rays. Oh my god, come on, there we go. Whereas with Junior, we get to negotiate that contract, we get to backload it if we want to. He had a much better year last year than he's having this year. But again, we'd have to negotiate that, which is fine. But obviously that would, I mean, essentially replacing Riley with Junior. I think that's the way to do it. Junior can only play third. So again, that really causes issues with who the hell is going to be there in the infield. It makes me wonder if I could still pull off a trade essentially for Junior and that dude on Tampa, or that dude on Baltimore, in Warner Sylvester, because I'm wondering how good he's going to be. For now, it's not too often you can make a trade like this, which is why I'm going to make it. We just picked up Cody Bellinger. We are not done, as again, we have other issues. We need to decide who stays and who goes. Serrano's obviously going to stay, but I'm trying to decide here. We have some players that I am pretty concerned about, but obviously now we have Bellinger, Kelenic, and then it's between guys like Robinson, Davis, and Rodriguez to decide who gets the spot. And if I had to guess, it's probably going to be Julio. And then we probably go with Brennan Davis on the bench for now. It's tough to say. There are also some prospects that are probably worth moving on from. So I think I would have put in the description, hey, fair warning, I show everything here. If you want to see the team at the very end, jump to this timestamp here. Essentially is what it's going to be. Because damn. But, you know, I look at someone like Dominguez at this point. That's a way to pull off a high-value trade, for sure. But obviously Junior's a bit up there. So, say... I mean, Urias is hitting 791 since we picked him up earlier this season. Doesn't have contract control. Is going to want a big money deal. We do have Gabe Little, who's a little bit more of a homegrown talent. So say we have Little, so Prado at first, and Pablo Mateo offsetting. We have probably Little at second, Junior at third. Although you could argue, again, we don't have enough prospects to really even make the proper amount of deals for a lot of these guys. Say we were to use, how good's Jimmy Voorhees been? Again, he's been ridiculous. Still an A potential guy. Obviously, there are other prospects I'd essentially like to move for other prospects, right? Say I add Voorhees to that. We could definitely pull off that deal. Poisson is a little bit rough, but technically is a 73. There are just so many moves to make, and I really don't know who the hell to keep. I gotta be honest, I'm almost tempted to flip Bellinger. I think it's just, alright, let's get rid of the guys that we know aren't going to work for us. Actually, Dominguez is a 72. He's just pissed about being in the minors, which is understandable. So there are so many guys here where it's like, okay, it's just when the hell are they going to get the chance? And I'm almost thinking, like, okay, is that who we keep? Is that who we get rid of? you know, who the hell do we give the opportunity to here? Just so many potential moves to make. So we got a catcher. How good's Naylor? A 76. Siegler's a legitimate 76 as well. But he doesn't care that he's in the minors for one more year. So we go with Amaya and Naylor, Siegler and AAA. From there, we're fine. We see if Eric Hansen develops. At first, pretty straightforward. Prado and Mateo, high in line and self, down in the minors. We see if they develop. At second, again, Urias already wants that big contract, and I don't want to give it to him. Whereas Gabe Little has contract control, so he stays. Avias in the system, all that's good. At third, Adrian Serrano deserves a chance. He just flat out deserves a chance. Whereas Vientos, I mean, he's a 76. He deserves a chance too. So we'll say that we plan on keeping him for the moment. But then we get the shortstop. And I already know J.J. Kell isn't going to make it. Marte isn't going to make it. So what trade can we possibly do here for prospects that aren't terrible or that aren't in the same spot that are just going to cause issues with the overcrowding of prospects as we try to just say, hey, okay, here are our guys, now let's try to develop them. And we just end up bringing back other players who are already too good and replace those prospects and whatnot. D'Angelo Blum at first, Ian Anderson, Luis Garcia. It's not too bad. Nolan Gorman, Brady Pringle, Luis Patino, and Jason Rosario, and Franco, and Aguila. You know what? Again, I am still intrigued enough by Sylvester. Where is Aguila? I'm intrigued enough by Sylvester to want to make that deal. We have plenty of interesting prospects, though. Sylvester's not against being in AAA for the rest of the year. I think that's the move to make. Do they have anybody, an outfielder, that we can just throw into the deal because we're a little bit low on outfielders? Christian Pace is going to be a little bit too good. I'm talking like Ryan McKenna types and Newstrom types. What about Newstrom and Billingsley? Perfect. Just because we're already kind of low on outfielders. So let's do it. We're going to pick up that guy from Baltimore. So he can be in AAA for the rest of the year. We'll see what we have with Gabe Little. Serrano will get the chance, more than likely. Vientos kind of needs to be given the chance already. So we can see what he is. So the good thing is, let's just say, second base for Little, obviously. Third base for Serrano. But then the issue is we have multiple shortstops that think they should be in the majors already. Pretty much all these guys think they should be in the majors already, which is a problem. I mean, Vientos, I mean, he's what, a 76 at 24? He's probably on the way out, let's be honest. Whereas with, I mean, Garcia is a 78. Poisson's a 73. And obviously Ray Mitra's, he's an 81 at 20 years old. I know he doesn't have the highest letter attached to him, but damn. And then Jimmy Voorhees. So let's just say the infield is typically, let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Which is pretty much how we can balance it. I honestly think I'm going to get rid of Poisson and Newton. I think those are the guys to move, and we'll see who else we can get here. Mascara. It's almost pretty much just looking for like one guy. Preferably from an NL team, of course. Dawkins, Drew Waters, and Carlson. Like a Damon North from the Tigers is the type of guy we're looking for. Someone who's a little bit younger that we don't have to worry is going to immediately want to play in the majors and just cause further morale issues because Lord knows we have enough of that going on. So it was it's Damon North from the Tigers that I'm interested in. So let's get rid of that shortstop. Let's get rid of that reliever. Oh my god, he's way the hell down there. And let's see who else we have here in the mid-range. Anybody at all. Oh my god, this is looking rough. Jose Lopez wants to play in the majors, so no thank you. And it might have to be... Ooh, Fernandez. Too good to be true. Too good to be true. What about James Barry? And just throw in Dave Tyler. That works for me. Let's do it. Vientos, Newton, and Poisson. Going to be dealt to Detroit. There's just... They're overruled by the players that we already have. So it makes sense. At least I'm rationalizing it as it makes sense. And from there, I think we're okay. So again, catchers, Amaya and Naylor. It'll be Ziegler in AAA. Hansen in AA. So Roman Kessler is pretty much done. Most of these guys are pretty much done if you think about it. I mean, we can send Kessler down, though, to AAA, which is fine. He'll be behind Ziegler. And then Hughes will go down to single. Mendoza will go down to single. We have those two in double. So we have one catcher too many. We can just go ahead and let go of Ruiz because it's not a big deal. So that's the catching situation moving forward. First base, again, Prado, Mateo. High in line there, Self in double. So Valentine will go up to triple. Hashimoto is already in single. That's fine. We have one first baseman too many. Let's just go ahead and get rid of this guy. I'm not worried about having to pay. So Gabe Little, congratulations. You're going to get a chance. Sylvester will be in AAA. Avias will be in double, which means we'll bump up his Turris to AAA for the moment, and Valito is hurt. So Gabe Little, welcome to the 40-man. It's your time to shine, buddy. Adrian Serrano gets the call-up. Brisebois in triple. Herrera in double. Let's just go, or Herrera in single. Let's go Ramirez in double. And then shortstop-wise, we have all three of them in the majors. I think that'll work out. And then the outfield, obviously we're going to have some things to worry about, but let's bump up Julio with Bellinger, Kelenic, and we'll go with the older Brennan Davis as our 4 in the outfield. So it's going to be, let's go Lacey in AAA, Ariano in AAA, Robinson, and Cabello. And then AA is actually going to be Thomas down. So pretty much anybody in the 60s will be in single from the looks of it. We actually might have brought on a little bit too much depth from the looks of it, but that's okay. So AAA is 1, 2, 3, and 4. AA is 1, 2, 3. And we'll go 4 with Newstrom. So yeah, we have a couple too many outfielders, but not by too much. Matter of fact, just screw it. Get rid of Danny Carew. Get rid of Ryan Wood. So that's looking fine. And then the starters, it's going to be Barrios, Gore, Eflin, Leahy probably. Does Leahy doesn't care that he's in the minors, nor does Fukumori. But we could just let these guys get called up and go for it. Sandy Gaston is technically a 78. Shane Baz, technically an 81. He's just not too happy. And then Cairo is technically a 77. So yeah, none of these guys are like woefully underrated. An 80 there for Fernandez. So let's go with Baz, Cairo, and Fernandez and see what they have for us. So AAA is 1, 2, and 3. 4, 5, and 6 with Wynn. AA Ashcraft. Sorry to tell you, buddy. But down you go. It's 3, 4, 5 with North. And 6 with James Barry. We're going to have a lot of starters to get rid of from the looks of it. We are... it's actually not too bad. It's not as many as I would have thought. I think ideally, though, we still get rid of some of these guys. So, like, Tyler and Kirkpatrick being dealt isn't a bad way to go, just to get something back for him. Relief-wise, it's certainly a different situation now. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 with Tejada. So Guevara will go down, Williamson's going down, Gonzalez is going down, and needless to say, the bullpen's going to look pretty damn different coming out of this situation. So AAA is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 pretty much. Luciano will go down to double. This guy will go down to double, so that's 2, 3 with Muller, 4, 5 with Perkinson, and 6 there. So we'll have Ridley in single, and Giles in single. Lopez goes down, so we do need to call up or sign some people. Okay, so that's That's where all the extra signings are. All of our relief pitchers ended up with so many more. So let's see here. What do we want to do? So it'll be, of course, Avias needs to be the starter in double over Valito. So, and I want that guy starting in double. So I guess we'll have Herrera in triple. And yeah, I need to sign some people to really fill out this roster properly. Mainly in terms of shortstops. So let's see who we have. Any veterans? Hernandez wants the platoon role. You're not going to get it, but I'll still sign you. Rocha, I'll sign you as well. Goodwin. I have a full roster. It's from all those damn relievers, man. Too many of them. John Jones is terrible. Let's get rid of him. Trey McLeod is terrible. Let's get rid of him. Patrick Santos is terrible. Get rid of him. Brian McCain is terrible. Nicky Lopez is terrible. So there we go. We'll handle it that way. And then back over to ye old shortstops. Goodwin, sign him up for the year. And Boone, sign him up for the year. And we should be okay. I think. Hopefully. So, unfortunately, you need to get off the 40-man. You need to get off the 40-man. And we'll see if we're all right from there. We're also dealing with some injuries. So, as the team stands, Shane Baz can go there. Zach Eflin can go there. Are we missing a starter due to injury? I think I'm just outright... Am I outright missing a starter? What happened? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Am I just reading someone as a reliever, or is somebody hurt? Is it doing the weird thing? Oh, it's doing that thing where it's hiding people for no reason. Cool. Makes sense. So, let's, for the hell of it, you've both been terrible. Let's go with Cairo there. Actually, apparently Fernandez is promising, so we'll go for that. So, this is going to be the new rotation. And I think in terms of the bullpen, that'll be the setup there. So again, a lot of time to prove yourself type of moves there. Sandy Gaston can be there. The other starter is Nakayama. Send down Guevara. And I actually think I'd want Nakayama in over Gaston, even though he's not as good. We definitely want Colwyn in. Basing that more off of stamina. Although it is somewhat irrelevant. So there we go. That's the setup there. Double A. Fairly straightforward. Well, Von Muller actually has no stamina whatsoever. He is a reliever, though. So makes sense. Oh my god. The whole, hey, we're just going to hide people for no reason kind of deal. Love it. Is that everybody? Thank God. There we go. Alright. So, just to get a look at what the full organization is at this point. We're still missing somebody. There we go. Jesus. Let's go with Von Muller there. Ruben Miro there. Damon North will replace Braxton Ashcraft. And that is the setup for Double A as well. So obviously we have some talents down there who should not be down there. The lineup's going to be interesting. I'm going to let the AI fix this one for a minute because, my god. And let's just see. Okay, what does the AI have it set up as then? Is what I'm intrigued by. So it has Jimmy Voorhees at DH, which I obviously strongly disagree with, but that is also because it put Mateo at third, which I strongly disagree with. So while I do want to see what we have with Jimmy Voorhees, I think in terms of the lineup for the rest of the season, now it does have Bellinger at center, which I mean makes sense in a way. Obviously I wanted to see what we had with a lot of these guys, Serrano as well. Brennan Davis is the depth in the outfield, Naylor is the depth catcher. Garcia, again, so right now we have Mitra, Gabe Little. I want to see what we have with Serrano. But Jimmy Voorhees is an interesting leadoff man, so maybe we just leave it that way for now. The AAA lineup, I mean, now we got guys like Warner Sylvester, so we're looking a little bit better there. And AA, they still, there are still some talented options there. Even someone like Dominguez, who's pissed off about being there. So actually, we'll take one more look. So catcher, we're good. The only guy who's pissed off about being in the minors is Kessler, but it's not like we're stunting his development because of it. At first, Heinlein doesn't care that he's in the minors, nor does Marcel Self, so we're good on that front. Gabe Little, again, Warner doesn't care that he's in the minors. David Avias does kind of care, which is weird. Again, we have ridiculous contract control over him. Could move him if I wanted to. It's not that big of a deal. Just to know that, like, oh, this person's pissed off that they're in the minors. But it's like, okay, in the case of, like, the shortstops, it made sense to be like, okay, this is who we're going with. It's got to be from this group of guys. I think we're good for now. I mean, as it is, we're past the deadline. So, I think we'll call it there. So, again, it is August 3rd. We are at 51 and 61. 21 and a half games back of the Astros and 13 games out of the wild card. At this point, this is what the team looks like. The rotation: Jose Barrios, Mackenzie Gore, Zach Eflin, Shane Baz, and Pablo Fernandez, with Manuel Cairo as the long reliever. Gerber, Guillen, Bob Tejada, Pedro Rodriguez, Vander Suero, and Edwin Diaz as the bullpen. Of course, in the system, we still have some strong options. Some very strong options, especially for some younger options within the bullpen. We really made sure to kind of place an emphasis on acquiring some of that talent now that we moved players out. The lineup: Jimmy Voorhees, Mitra, Bellinger, Mateo, Nick Prado. Jared Kelenic is back. We'll see if he can make the most of this second opportunity. Julio Rodriguez, Miguel Amaya, and Gabe Little, with Garcia, Naylor, Serrano, and Davis on the bench. Still a lot, as you'll be able to tell here by some of the talents down in AAA as well. Still a lot of room for people to carve out a spot on this team moving forward. So a full look at the completed transactions in this episode. Let's go all the way down to the bottom. Of course, we started off, or ended the last episode, by, actually it doesn't even track it anymore. But yeah, you see the first move again. It started by acquiring Avias, Tejada, and Santos for Brennan Winkler and Altavia. You have the Mackenzie Gore trade. Whole bunch of moves there, of course. The Shane Baz acquisition. A lot was done. A lot was done. And we're still not done. As we know, the rest of this season, it's not going to be good, but the next offseason is going to be fairly interesting as we sort out this roster. We have a lot of players where we have to decide, who stays and who goes moving forward. A lot of the young talent now fighting for the same spots. Not everybody is going to make it. Cody Bellinger may very well be a rental. It's going to be interesting, but unfortunately, our first push for making a title contender fell just short, and it is what it is. So we'll end it there. Again, if I was over an hour and 10 minutes worth of background noise for you, hey, thanks. It was my honor. If you just skipped ahead to see what this ultimately ended up being, then hey, that's cool too. I'll see you in the next one where we get back to actually making a little bit more progress rather than just having to flip everybody because this team sucked and failed at their jobs.